Hey, good day. I have a piece of box elder or Manitoba maple, as we call it in Canada. Grain orientation is going that way. That's a pit. And I'm going to try to do a box hollow form type of deal. It's spinning at 1100. Alright, we're doing a voiceover for this one, so get your Spanglish translator ready while I ship this thing. This should have been called how to match the grain. However, I don't like to do how-to videos because if you've been watching my videos, there is something that I haven't mentioned before, is that whenever I do something, I'm actually doing it most times for the first time. I don't prepare like other people that do something a million times and then they show you how to do it. Just have an idea and I try to execute it basically. So here the idea was, and there was a couple mistakes, that I was going to do a leaded box that had somewhat of a thick, like finial. I had a shape in mind, but I made this huge mistake of when I rounded the blank, I used a template for a circle and I put a screw that was like 1 3/4 inches, which created a hole where the faceplate is 1 3/4 inches deep, and that's where the end of my finial should have been. So that kind of put a damper on that. And in retrospect, I should have made 2 tenons instead of using a faceplate. Just put it between centers, made a tenon, and then flip it and make another tenon on the other end, and it would have worked. But as I said, I'm doing these things for the first time and recording video. So here's the part where I get to, my challenge was that I'll continue in a second. I just want to tell you what's going on here. Where the pith is, there were some little cracks that I don't like, so I use regular glue and wet sand it and made it disappear. But basically I wanted to see if I can cut this piece and use the same piece as a lead without losing anything. So it had to be, the piece remaining had to be bigger than the cut that I'm making. So here's one more cut and it's gonna come off. There he goes. So here I'm measuring the circle of my cut to compare it to what's left, and I had about 1 millimeter extra, which I thought it was great. So I removed that millimeter and made short work of the remaining center part just to get it flat, because at this point I didn't know what I was doing with the lead part yet. So I just figured I'll remove as much material as possible and give it somewhat of a shape. And I couldn't figure out whether I wanted a flat lead or a slightly elevated. I went with a slightly elevated because the grain was really nice. So if it was flat, you'll only see it if you're on top of it. So then I measure, that was me measuring my chuck to make sure I make a recess that fits exactly. People use different tools. I use my 40/40 gouge because I'm a bit of a cowboy. But you can use a parting tool or a skew to do this. It was about, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of an inch, not that big. So here I'm checking for my grain match, and voila, I was pretty happy with that part, but I had no idea what to do next. So I actually took a break and thought about it and came back and decided, okay, I'm gonna hollow a bit the inside of the lid. I'm using like a regular round nose scraper. Here I'm removing some more material and giving it a bit of a shape. And I still don't know what to do with the top of it, so a bit of sanding, and we move on to the main body of it. So I did a very slight shaving just to clean up the edge, and then I establish what the inside is going to be according to another chuck that I have that is bigger. And here I switched to Easy Wood scraper or hollower, and I hollow most of the inside. It was actually pretty easy. This one pretty fast. I mean, pretty fast. This is, I think, is ×8 the speed here. So, and then I use again a bigger regular kind of round nose scraper to smooth out the inside. This is it here. And I've been struggling with finishes. I don't like when I finish. I've been using oil and other stuff, and it just puts a bit of a tint to certain wood, and in this case I wanted to remain the way it is, so I did 2 coats of sanding sealer on both pieces. And when you use sanding sealer, you have to wipe it. If not, it will become hard and you have more sanding to do. But I did let it dry in between and actually sand it. So here I'm putting some electric tape on the outside of the jaws for my chuck and cutting it in between, because when I expand it, otherwise it will rip the tape apart. But anyways, I don't want it to mark the inside, so here I'm using an adapter, an MT2, to center it. That way it will stay true when I flip it, because I don't really have a shoulder for the chuck to sit on. And once that was done, I loosened up the other end and I removed the piece, lost my chuck key, flipped it around, and began removing the bottom. And I wanted the bottom to have a bit of like a donut shape and going towards the center. So that's what I'm doing here. Remove the tailstock, get rid of the little knob there, and I did sand this and put sanding sealer on the area that I just finished, and then I burn a line at the end of the base, so I thought I'll separate it really nice. Here I'm going back to the lead part, and I have no clue what to do. And I don't know if you can see, but in the center there's a hole, so out of this I'm gonna lose about 1 3/4 inch. So I thought maybe I just make a little base and then make a separate finial and glue it onto, if I did like something black, and then I will have to make the base black. But as I was right about here, I was cutting this so-called base for a finial, and it started to look kind of like a golfing tee, and I thought, maybe I just go all the way down. This is my money shot here. I did this all in one cut. That's the beauty of the it's a spindle gouge, but it has pretty long wings, so I was able to go all the way to the bottom in one shot. Then I realized that I needed to make this kind of round if I was going to put a golf ball, which I should have done at the beginning. So this part was kind of like, you can't tell in the video, but every time I touched it, it looked like it was going to break. So it actually took a while to do a little dip on it. So I sanded that up, and yeah, it's turned out beautiful. So I'm not a golfer, so I call on my neighbors, and young couple across the street are golfers, so they give me a couple golf balls. And yeah, this is a finished product. I didn't glue. I'm grabbing it like that because I didn't glue that ball, because this is gonna wind up going up for sale, and maybe the person that buys it wants to have their own ball on the top or something. But anyways, overall, I'm pretty happy with it, and I hope you enjoyed that video. If you have any questions, leave me a comment, and I'll be sure to reply to you. And if you have any criticism, leave that there too. I'm good for it. So that's it for this one. I'll leave you with that, and thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch up with you on the next one. Ciao, ciao.